Now, the rest of the story.
All right, welcome back. I imagine you guys might be getting a little tired of the whole planter videos, but I did want to take a chance to go over really quick about what it takes to change the seed populations on our corn planter, and I am going to touch base on the fertilizer tank and how it gets down to the ground. I'll try to cover this as quickly as I can, but it's relatively straightforward, and I think we all know I'm probably going to talk too much, but that's fine. So I'll use my flashlight here. I'm not really sure. People were asking what this flashlight is, and it is a Big Larry power work light, or the Big Larry power work light by Nebo, N-E-B-O. I actually got this from our sponsor. I got the light and camera set up behind me that is probably going to blind you guys from my sponsor. I got a lot of support. This channel has gotten a very big pickup from our sponsor supporting us. So, first and foremost, what does it take to change the population on this planter? Not a whole lot. More or less, it's just tedious. And there are better ways to do this, especially if you talk to our agronomist. And he is trying to get us to go to electric drives. And don't get me wrong, I want to go to electric drives. Just being able to change the seed populations across the planter from the monitor in the tractor would be so cool. I would probably be drunk with power. Just being able to change the population on our headlands and on the poor performing parts of the field, and then upping it on the higher producing ground. I have one field that I typically plant at 38,000 population with the intention I'm not going to get 100% of emergence. I'm actually going to plan on planting that. It's 14 acres. That it will be side dressed, it will be top dressed, and it won't be getting the fertilizer with the planter, just because the ground doesn't need that initial boost. But I probably will, if I have the fertilizer in the tank from the other fields, I'll probably put it in the monitor and make one pass with the fertilizer on and see if there's any noticeable differences. But that field in itself, I'm probably going to run right around 40,000 population seeds per acre, and yeah, it's ground that I typically play with just to see what I can get away with. So what we have here, we have our top chain, our bottom chains. We got the driver and the driven. Oh, if you guys, I'm trying not to completely block all the light out for you. But what you do is there's a slock right here, and what you do, if I don't give you guys motion sickness, you pull that arm down. I know you guys didn't see any of that. You pull this arm down and you take the slack off this chain here, and wow, did a good job of coating that with WD-40. And what you end up doing is you're taking out one of these, or any of these stops here, and then you take that out, push it to the side, potentially lose it, and you take the chain and you move the sprocket over. Depending if you're wanting to increase or decrease your population, I don't have my seed chart on me. I actually usually either print out a sheet and laminate it. I lost that one, so otherwise I'll just use my phone. I haven't taken the time to look it up yet, but it is really straightforward. It's really crude, for the lack of a better term. It's a really rough way to get your seed population where you want it, because it varies, it goes up, it's down. You're never getting your exact seed count that you're really aiming for. Across all of our ground, I'd say 34,000 seeds per acre is probably a pretty healthy average to what we run. We drop it down to 32,000 down at my place. At the home farm, a lot of dairy manure, like forever. We run this place right around 36,000, and we have that field of mine that will be 40,000. And like I said, overall, 34,000 is a pretty good, happy average. as far as what corn population usually runs. I'm not really sure what this is set for. It was probably set for beans because that was the last time we planted with this. And I always go through and I reset it for whatever farm we're going to go to, because not much point in me getting carried away setting it for Rockville or Ryan's place or home or my home and have to change again anyway. I usually do it that morning. But this is all you have to do is just pull out these rubber stops, and it allows you to move it. And then all you got to do is to keep it from the sprockets from moving side to side again on you, is you just put this back in and you'll be good to go. And of course, pull your stop back, and that's that. Fertilizer, I'll try to do this without blinding you guys. I was asked why we haven't put any new lights in the machine shed yet. We do have a bunch of lights. Ryan was sent a bunch of lights. But here's the thing about this machine shed. This shed was built as a storage shed. This shed was not built to be doing the amount of extensive work that we typically do in this. Grandpa only built it with the 3 lights, and I'm pretty sure Dad put that light over the bench. My dad actually put in that workbench when Dad started working for Grandpa. So the plan is, I haven't seen the lights, but I guess Ryan has a handful of them that were sent to him that we're gonna string up here somewhere and give us more light in the machine shed. But the shed was not built with the intentions of being a full-time shop. It's a place where we can do some repairs, but back when Grandpa was milking and everything, we really weren't planning on using it in the winter months where you would actually want to close the shed up and work in here like Dad and Ryan were on that truck all winter. So Grandpa didn't put the lights in here, because typically when we were milking, we had breakdowns. It was in June, July, August. Well, basically whenever it was pretty well warm out, and the shed door was wide open, and we always tended to work on things right in the doorway because we had plenty of light. So the light thing really wasn't an issue. One more thing I want to address too. Hey, I think you guys love this in my videos. I get off track, but why don't we go through and partition this machine shed off and make part of it a shop? We have talked about going through and doing that from like the end of the bench and then going across and doing that from like that upper rafter over. But the problem is, it wouldn't really be big enough for what we really want to do, because if you don't have enough room to really back your combine in it, it's really not any good to us. And even just look at the 4640, just the ground space that this tractor takes up just for getting the work done to it now. So if we really wanted to go through, one of the more recent ones people are saying, and honestly, if we were really going to be serious about doing it, which we aren't, by the way, we would probably go through that rafter just beyond that cabinet there, and probably partition off the machine shed from there over and make this a shop. But the reason that is really, well, the reason we would never do that is because look at our machine shed. It's full. And not just with things we're working on technically in our shop, it's a storage shed. This is our main storage building. So going through and like sectioning off part of the machine shed with the intention of just using this for a shop, it really cuts us off the knees as far as what we're going to use for or have for storing our machinery. Especially with that new purchase my dad just bought. We got to figure out what we're going to do with that now, because everything that we buy, every little thing that we buy, we have to find a place for it. It's a good bad problem to have, and you have the money to buy the stuff, but the problem is that we need the facilities for putting it inside. I absolutely do not want to put anything outside that we don't have to, just because it's hard on it. And going on to the fertilizer, we have our fertilizer tank that we tender to it from the back here. So we'll back up to the tender tank, which generally has the pickup on it with our seeds. So what we usually do is we back up where you start filling fertilizer, and then while we're waiting for that, we'll fill our corn seed up. So we fill the fertilizer tank from here. It goes up through a filter, which is really important, and into the tank. Having inline filters is huge on these, because the first year when I started side dressing with my cultivator, or the cultivator. When I put the fertilizer tanks on it, I didn't have any kind of filter system set up on it. And the problem is that there was some junk just from previous people using the tank. We went out to dinner with Andrew and Ryan, my friend Ryan, and our significant others the other night, and we actually got to talking about the tender tanks that you get. And the problem is there's all these different products depending on who used it last and what it was used for. You start to get sludge and crud in the bottom of them, and that in turn makes it into your systems. So having the inline strainers or filters in your system, your fertilizer system, is huge. So this one is the smaller, and this one is a larger strainer. So from here it goes to the bottom of the tank. It gets pulled from the bottom of the tank into our pump, goes out of the pump through this little filter here, and we have the option of going out to the red ball system, out to the planter, or we can recirculate the tank and it comes back down and around. We open this up and it goes back into the tank and it stirs everything up. Really not that big of a deal when you fill the planter first thing in the morning and you're really not having to worry about stirring it. But if it's sat all night and you're going to start the next morning and you had a full tank in it, say before you quit and you got rained out, you can stir it a little bit before you get going in the morning. Also, I put additives into the tank, Rapidity, Pacer in the past, Agzymes, I think is what I put in my soybeans last year. I'm putting on a graphite base, I believe, additive onto my seeds on my corn and soybeans both, some of my soybeans, all of my corn, this fall, or this spring. I'm really not too crazy about that because I did quick roots and I didn't think it covered the seeds entirely, but I've seen good things. I've seen the paperwork and I've looked at what the plot data and what it can really do. So for when you go through this valve here, I said it goes up to the red ball system. The red ball system is very important if you really want to make sure that all of your rows are getting fertilizer. So what happens is, see these little red balls sitting in this? When there's a flow or the rate going through the system, it's coming in through here from the pump, and it goes out and up through here, and it splits off to the individual rows on the planter. And when there is a flow through here, these red balls will float up, and it'll let you know that as you're sitting in the cab, if everything is running properly, so you know that you are putting fertilizer down. Because if you're paying for it, I definitely want to make sure that all of my acres, all of my rows are getting covered. So it comes out to the back through here, back along the frame, and this is when it spider webs out in this nice little spider web of hoses and cables and everything. And it's going to go out. I'll try to find you a row here. Well, let's just go to the end row. That's about the simplest. Because I'm missing an orifice. So you can see this is the end of the end row. This is one of the row units. And this here plugs into this. As long as you guys can see this, I'm trying not to blind anybody or talk to you in the dark. There's an orifice that goes down in here, if you guys can see very well. And I'm missing two of them. So I got two coming. How did I lose two of those? Because the rest of the rows have them. Well, it happens to the best of us. I lost the orifices for my side dressing unit. My cultivator uses orifices, to put fertilizer down too. And the problem is that I lost them for the cultivator, couldn't find them, so I ended up using the ones out of the corn planter. I mean, it worked great, just had to run the valve, the control unit, at a different rate. Well, I knew I would do it. I was being careful so I wouldn't do it, but I ended up misplacing two of them when I was putting them back in the planter. I mean, I made it all the way until cleaning the cultivator up and pulled all the orifices out, and I was putting them back in, and I dropped two of them. So not my best moments, but it's not the end of the world. I think that pretty well covers any of the mechanics, the ins and outs of the corn planter. If you have any more questions, you guys know how to get a hold of me between the comments and my email. And also, I'll throw this one out there yet. Last night's video was the giveaway announcement video. So if you guys are looking for a chance to win a John Deere 320E John Deere skid steer 1/16 scale model toy, make sure you go to last night's video, which I believe was called Making Progress. Progress is made or something like that. And make sure you leave a comment down below because I will be announcing a winner this upcoming Sunday. So that's it for today, or for tonight, or for now, for this video. Isn't that right, Calvin? Calvin. Hey, buddy. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. Stay warm. Stay dry. It is kind of miserable outside yet. That's why the shed door is shut. But I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Bye.